Hey everyone, welcome back to The Privacy Guy. Today I want to discuss basically whether caring about your privacy is something that matters for the future or if privacy itself is already dead and fighting for privacy is actually worthless. I think I've expressed my view on here quite a bit that investing in privacy now basically protects you in the future by limiting the amount of information that other people and other organizations have about you. You're going to be better off down the line. However, there are a lot of kind of exciting technologies developing that are pretty non-privacy friendly, that are privacy intrusive. The nature, the functionality of them is pretty much focused on data collection and then using that information to, predict your actions in the future. So first I want to give an argument for why privacy is important and why it will continue to be important into the future. I think that protecting your privacy and not allowing large companies or governments to collect your information is a good thing because it decentralizes power. In today's economy, in today's internet, data is like gold. The more data that companies have about you, the better they can predict your future purchasing behavior and your future activity, interactions with their apps, with their websites, with their stores, all of that stuff. So when you focus on privacy and you don't allow companies to collect your information, you're keeping all of that decentralized. So my information belongs to me, my neighbor's information belongs to him or her, your information belongs to you, and so the data storage and data collection would be isolated to me, would be isolated to my neighbor, or would be isolated to you. And what this does is it prevents companies like Google from even existing, because what allows Google to be so powerful is that they've developed a monopoly on data collection and kind of processing that information to make predictions about what sort of content you're interested in, what sort of ads you're likely to click on, all that kind of stuff. Google is one of the largest companies in the world, doing tens of billions of dollars a year in revenue. And all of that is thanks to its massive collection of data. So I don't inherently think that large companies are bad. However, I think when it's something like Google that functions solely to collect information from people and solely to use that information to sell them ads or sell them different products, that's not benefiting the consumer, that's benefiting Google. And that just concentrates all that wealth on one company. But when you keep data decentralized and not controlled by one company, you allow each person to make their own decisions about how that data is used, about who they share that data with, and then how it impacts their life. Right now, Google has developed so much power that they're able to predict what people are going to purchase based on all this information that they've collected from people like you and me. And that's what allows Google to be the largest advertising company in the world. And other companies like Facebook do this as well. Amazon loves data too because it wants to know your purchasing behavior and what sort of products you're interested in and what sort of products you're likely to buy. So all of that being said, I really just think that privacy allows for people to have more control over their future behavior. And I realize that the trend that we're on now, where Google, Amazon, Facebook, these companies have all this information about us, and that's only going to increase. As people buy more Internet of Things devices, as people interact with their phones more, as people download more and more apps, as people spend more time on a computer, these companies are only going to benefit more. And as they develop better machine learning, better artificial intelligence to process this information and to make predictions from it, we're going to be left behind, and we're going to have a hard time even controlling our actions because Google's going to serve us the type of content that it makes the most money from. Facebook is going to do the same thing, show us the content that makes us stick around, that makes us spend more money, makes us click on more ads. Amazon's going to know the very second we think about buying a certain product to show us an ad, and that will allow them to be incredibly effective at driving consumer purchases, at driving consumer spending, all that stuff. And I just think in order for people to have control rather than these companies, privacy is the first step to getting there. And then next up is kind of the argument against that. The argument of, maybe these technologies, even if they do compromise on some privacy, are actually improving our lives. And I don't necessarily agree with this, but I do think there's some solid arguments from people who don't think that privacy is important, and that really it's probably holding us back from technological advancement and the machine learning and artificial intelligence capabilities that we're headed towards in the near and distant future. So first I want to talk about the companies that are collecting our data: Google, Amazon, Facebook. Those are the three I'm going to focus on. So Google has all this information about what people want to know, what people want to read, what kind of content. That includes YouTube, that includes Google search, that includes all of Google's products. They are just constantly collecting information about how people behave, what sort of information they view, and what they're looking for. And then they're able to see, which results are most appealing to people. And then that algorithm allows them to decide, well, we're going to show this article first versus this article. We're going to show more news from this source rather than this source. And ultimately, it becomes super convenient. I no longer will have to type in, different search operators, and this is a thing of the past already, using brackets in your search terms to include certain words and use exact text matches to, try to hone your search results with, more machine learning about how I even interact with the search engine itself. Google may be able to just serve me that information without me having to type in a search term. And that's promising if, people want to find information. That does get a little bit scary when you have a company like Google deciding which content you see and just able to wipe out portions of the internet simply by not recommending certain websites or news sources in its search results. But all that information that's predicting my behavior, whether it's Google doing it, whether it's Facebook doing it, or Amazon doing it, they're able to serve me convenience. And that's kind of the argument I always end up having is, well, privacy versus convenience. Do people want control over their information, but maybe have to sacrifice, a few extra minutes of their time to find a piece of content, to find a product they're looking for? Or would they rather just have that ultimate convenience where the products they're looking for are automatically suggested to them, the information they're looking for just shows up first, and the websites they're most interested in are just constantly served to them? That's kind of a tough argument because, privacy has its benefits and convenience has its benefits. I think going forward, as more companies invest in artificial intelligence and machine learning, privacy is going to be diminished. Elon Musk has talked about this quite a bit, that Neuralink is going to allow us to communicate without speaking, but that's going to diminish the ability to hide certain things from people or to lie about things, which could be great or could be terrible. But these amazing systems of machine learning and artificial intelligence that are able to take in all this information and spit it out in a prediction or in a sort of process that it thinks that you're going to act this way because of all the factors that it's considered and, you know, making its prediction. Those systems are super promising and they have great applications, whether it's helping, you know, people speak who are unable to, whether it's making traffic systems flow better, whether it's improving, you know, transportation systems. All that stuff is amazing. And if we just say, well, we can't invest in that because it compromises privacy and it requires collecting information from people, we're going to hold ourselves back as far as technology goes. Another application that we could think about is something like Tesla, or, you know, Google's investment in self-driving cars. These are great, but ultimately you have all these sensors, all these cameras, ways that the car interacts with the environment around it, and in order for cars to, or the systems that the cars run on, to figure out what they need to do, they're going to have to take in a ton of information. And that could be information about, you know, who's where. It could be tracking your cell phone location to know when you're crossing a street so that a car doesn't just plow right through you. You know, at the end of the day, cities could run a lot better if we had more tracking and more data collection, because it would be able to see the traffic flow of people. It could see when people wake up in the morning. So we need to have, you know, systems that align with people's needs based on time of day and based on their behavior. But that requires the government, that requires cities to be able to work together with private companies to collect all that information and to be able to make the best decisions going forward. So that's kind of the argument against protecting our privacy, and more towards the technologies that can possibly compromise on our privacy but could improve convenience going forward. So this is a conversation that I'll likely continue and make more videos about. So check back for more videos and updates about this. This is something I'd love to have a debate about. So if you're super passionate about machine learning and AI and think that privacy is just holding us back, I'd love to have that discussion with you and maybe even share that out on the channel. So go ahead and, you know, leave me a comment if you feel strongly about this, and I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you. So thanks for tuning in to The Privacy Guy. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It helps me reach more people, and, you know, my goal is to spread privacy around the internet, so that helps out a ton. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.